One of the biggest perks of being a firefighter, in my view, is the family atmosphere. Having my family here that I work with, we work 24 hours. So it's almost like going to work with your brothers and sisters. We're here, we know everything about each other, and we create friendships that I've never seen at any other workforce that I've worked. Some of the better perks for me is I have time to spend with my family. So although I work here for 24 hours, I'm home for 24 hours, so I get a lot of advantages of being with my family.
The biggest perk that I get from my job is the schedule. We work a lot of hours, 24-hour shifts, 240 hours a month, but because of the way the shifts work, it gives us a lot of quality time at home with our families.
I think one of the things I take away the most is just the fact that this is just a fabulous job. Working with the many different people that we have here on the fire department, and every day is a little bit different.
One of the hardest things about being a firefighter is being away from my family at times. Most people get to be home at Christmas time, get to be home for birthdays and holidays and those kind of things. We don't always get that luxury.
The hardest things are separating yourself from your job and your life. You see a lot of horrific things in this career, and you have to go home and have to separate yourself from things like that.
Well, I think one of the hardest things for me about being on the fire department is responding to some of those calls that are what we all refer to as difficult calls, and it seems to be those calls that involve children.
So what one call stands out in my mind, like a fire call that I think about often or comes back to me. It's actually a call I had probably 15 years ago. I had a 21-year-old girl. It was a structure fire, and she had candles burning on her dresser. It was an upstairs condominium. And we got on scene. The bedroom was well involved. Fire was blowing out the window. I was one of the first firefighters to go up to the hose line, go into her bedroom. The door was shut. I opened it. Fire was pretty much raging everywhere. Knocked it down quickly and did a search of her room. She was lifeless. And I remember grabbing her and carrying her down the stairs, getting her outside where the medic unit was waiting. And she was severely burned. We ended up transporting her, but she didn't make it. And that's the first and only time that I've ever pulled someone literally out of a fire. And so I don't think I'll ever forget that. And the fact that she did die was pretty hard on me.
The call I remember most vividly was I was a brand new firefighter, paramedic with the city of Santee, and I was on a fire engine, and the fire engine had 2 EMTs and a paramedic. So I was the highest level medical authority on the call at that time. We went to a child drowning call off of Mass Boulevard, and at that point we showed up on scene, and the child wasn't breathing, it didn't have a heartbeat, and I remember walking in and looking at the kid, and the kid was the same age as my daughter at the same time. He was 2 years old. We were able to get the child back, and we flew him out, and he actually had a favorable outcome.
There's a couple calls that have always stuck in my mind, but one of them I remember very, very well was a call that involved 3 students that were driving to Santana High School. It was reported they were traveling at a very high speed. They lost control of their vehicle. I remember when we responded up there, there was already one known to be dead. I will remember to this day, at one point the mother arrived on scene and had to be controlled because she just realized that one of her twin sons had died, and her other twin son was in very serious conditions. I remember that individual died as well. It's one of those things that when you're on scene, you have all the different sensories of the whole thing that's happening at the time. So it just makes that much more difficult to deal with. And like I say, I can remember very clearly some of the things that happened on that call.
What do I feel the connection with the people I live with and work with on a 24-hour shift basis? They're really like a second family. I eat, I sleep, I drink, work out, everything with the people here in the fire station.
Some of the most memorable parts for me is when you have a routine or a call that somebody's very sick, and we actually make them better, and we get them to the hospital, and then they come back and thank us.
There's the whole global position of where everything's going here in the fire department. What exactly is the fire department going to be? What's it going to be doing in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years out? So those are some of the many things that I have to look at. It's just the best profession in the world is the way most of us describe it, and it's just been an awesome career.